All right, tonight it is a steamed crisp filet mignon roast. We're going to use that right there. And I cooked the other half with a pressure cooking recipe that I'll add some footage of. And it turned out real well. I've used it to make sandwiches with this week, and it was really good and really simple. But tonight, we're going to use a thermometer and the steam crisp function on the new Ninja One lid and see how it does. Now, I am going to use something a little bit different. A lot of times I might fry some bacon in there, even, or anywhere you want to, and then use the bacon fat to rub on it instead of using oil. Well, I found this, and I've used it a couple of times, and I'm going to see how it does on this. I'll show you. I've had it a few weeks, and you can see how it looks when you use it, and nothing bad, but I'm gonna rub that on there. And it's already got salt, so I'm not putting anything. Well, I may put pepper, but probably not. If you don't have that, though, of course, you can use some kind of oil. I usually use avocado. But to get this started, as a matter of fact, we're going to break into it right quick. There's 1 cup of water. I'm going to put that in the Ninja, and that is because we're going by their instruction. Now, we'll have to get right here where you can see, or I can make sure you can see what I want to show you. And there is the tenderloin. It says 2 to 3 pounds. It says preparation none. Oil, it's calling for 2 tablespoons. I'm going to use whatever it takes to rub that on there. 1 cup of water. And then it wants that right there. The reversible rack in the lower position, 365 degrees. And then it's talking minutes. But we don't need minutes because we're going to use the thermometer. So I'm about to get all that started. We're going to, if I don't forget to press that button, we're going to have a timer too. So get it started. I'll be back. Okay, I have it pretty much wiped down pretty good. Now, I will say I put that into a bowl to keep from cross-contaminating, and you can see why. That piece came off, you know, while I was doing it. You would not want that in your anything, whatever you're using. You may have heard this from me before, but I always try and hit the very center of the steak. So I will put, or the whatever I'm cooking, the roast, I'm going to put that, which looks like if I bottom it out, it will be pretty much dead center. And then I want to get as close to the middle of this roast as I can get, or this filet. And that is pretty much it. I'm going to set that right there. And we're going to put that in. And I may slow down to make sure I press all my buttons right. Nothing worse than getting ahead of yourself and doing something wrong. But as you know, I've already removed the plug that goes right here, and it's in my little thing that you keep it in. I am going to, the cup of water, as you saw, is already in there. So I'm going to make sure my cable clears everything. I'm going to turn this device on. Slow down just a second because I do have to think sometimes. All right, we're on steaming crisp. You can see right there. I hope you can. You know what? I'm gonna slow down. I'm gonna set the camera up a little bit better so you can see the face of this, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I got the camera in a little better position. We're going to use manual temp, which we're going to look for, say, well, you know your filet the way you like it, you know, better than I. I got a feeling it's going to, you know, run past a little bit, but I'm going to fix it to shut down at around 130. Now, we'll see how it looks. Maybe that's too far, and a lot of people would think so. But that would be a medium rare when it cuts off. And I'll be happy with the medium rare because I normally reheat as I have the one I cooked the other day, and it gets cooked a little further. So, with all that being said, I think everything's good to go. I think all I got to do is press start. And we are off and running. I'm going to press start here, although we probably will have a timer there, but this way it's start to finish. The time it comes up to steam that water and then do a little air frying. I've got that set to vent, but anyhow, I'll see y'all shortly. And voila, there we are. And I promise you, I have not peeked. So I have no idea what we're fixing to see, but let's look. Well, it did shrink up a little bit as far as length. So let's get it out of there. Maybe take a temp read and see what we have when we cut it. I'm going to undo that. Let's do that right quick. we're still pretty, even that cable gets fairly warm. But, all right, we don't want to squeeze it too hard. You can see, doesn't look bad. Let's get a temp read with the thermopen. And we are just, this is just kind of for the fun of it. It doesn't matter what it reads because we're going with it. But evidently that's pretty close. I saw 132. And I'll take it. I don't know why I'm checking it. We got a thermometer. So I'm going to let that rest just a minute. Now, you might could do something with this. I'll show it to you. We're at 42 minutes and 49 seconds or so. 43 minutes. And I did forget to weigh it before we started. But either way, you see it. So I'm going to let that rest a minute and we're going to cut it open, see what it looks like. Be back. All right, we're coming up on around 5 minutes. I'm not this is a steamed crisp recipe, so I'm not sure how long it should rest, but it's not a big deal. I'm not big on that anyhow. I can cut one in a hurry. And it looks excellent. I mean, you can see it has a good color. That bacon fat might be the way to go. We're going to cut it right in the middle. I always like to make sure you can see what I'm doing, especially for something like this. And everything else looks good. It does. We're cutting it open right now. And that is, well, that looks great. Now, that is a little past medium rare if you ask me. But I normally would go to, maybe you would adjust that to 125. But there's nothing wrong with that. I don't know why I'm complaining. I'm not complaining. That looks excellent. We're going to cut it just like that. And we're going to taste it. I'm going to cut it. And it's tender, as you might expect any filet would be. Let's do the fork test. And it'll cut with it. I mean, there you go. And we'll even do this also. That's excellent. I'll take it. That bacon, I can taste it. It's got a good flavor. It's worth trying. I'll put it like that. I'm going to get a plate. And I'm going to cut this up a little bit, put some salt on it, and that's probably exactly how I'm going to cook it. I mean, eat it. But I will say, I mean, your temps better than I, and that is a little past medium for sure, and that is a 130 steak. Cooking it in this method, maybe you should. Next time I will go 125. But again, nothing wrong with that right there. So again, I may not even bring you back. I'll make some pictures and we're going to post this, and I'll also try and put up some of the ones I did the pressure cooking with, the other half of this roast. And this one did a little shrinking on a slight to the length. Well, you saw what it was. But man, it looks good, and it was simple in about 45 minutes. Anyhow, hey, I love y'all. Y'all come back to see me, and have a good night. Bye-bye. Okay, there is my filet mignon, or my beef tenderloin, after I've done all the trimming I'm doing, and you can see there's what I did. I'll find something to do with that. It's really good. By all means, don't throw it away. I did cut the tip off to make it a little square on that edge, but there's really no good reason for doing that. You can get as anal with this kind of stuff as you want to, but no big deal. I'm even leaving this. I mean, a lot of people would take that off, but I'm not. I'm making it to cut into a roast or slice off for sandwiches or whatever I end up doing with it. But right now, we're going to cut this down to fit in my Ninja, which will be, I'm going to call that, let's say, right about there. There is my filet mignon roast. And you can see it's pretty, and it will be. I promise you it'll be good too. I'm going to go ahead and make the other one about the same, which is right here. And this one, I'll decide what I do with at some point, and it may get the same thing done. You can see I almost got a better looking one right here, but the end piece is the one we're going to cook first because I am learning, and we're not using that. I just had that out to measure with. I'm going to put that right there, and we're going to get this pressure cooker set up and ready, get the thermometer out and start this thing. And I'm going to set that in, and then I'm going to kind of turn it to where there's no tension on that cable. I'm going to close it. I'm going to make sure this is locked to the sealed position. Taking that to pressure cook. I'm going to immediately take that down to low because that's all I've done these at. Even the steaks I did the other night on the well-done steaks. I do them on low pressure. You know, I still don't know if that has a lot to do with it, but there was nothing wrong with that well-done steak, so I'm going by that. I'm going to hit manual. Now, I've been getting, when I do the natural release, I've been gaining about 30, maybe 35 degrees as it bleeds down. So I'm going to take this down to, say, 125. That should take me to about 155, 160. No blood red running, but it'll be, if it's as tender as it were the other night, I'll be very happy. But we're going to hit start, see what that looks like. I got another, maybe we'll take it to a different temp. We'll see how this does. So everything's good. We got that sealed. We're off and running. Natural release is set up at 125. See y'all in a minute. Okay, so it just switched over to done at, well, 39, 40 seconds ago. And that is at 141. So you can do the math on the time I started. I think it was 105. So that's how long it took for it to completely get to 125. Now, I'm not going to pull it out, but you could. You could do a quick release, and that'd probably take 5 minutes or so for that to bleed down. You can pull it out right now. But I'm going to let it do my natural release, and we'll see what the temp is at that point. Okay, it gave me the open command or light at 148. Now, this unit's kind of notorious. That pin's not down, so you can't open it. I'm not going to try until the pin comes down, but I just wanted to mention that because now I'm going to, in my opinion, that is low enough of pressure not to hurt the meat, and I'm going to release that little bit of pressure. Let this pin drop, and we're going to open it up and get a look at it. So, you know, and hopefully that'll be quick. But let's just see. I'm going to leave the camera running, and it looks down right now. Again, I always put my finger right there. We're done. So there's what it looks like. And again, now I may not have said it, or maybe I have 15 times. They're not pretty. When it's kind of like sous vide. Oops, I like to drop the camera. It's kind of like a sous vide cook, and they're not pretty until you sear them or do the Maillard. So this is the first one. So there you go. We're going to take a temp read right quick, see what it is, by this thermometer after the, make sure you can see it. I'll have to do that. And that's after the natural release. Well, we're not as hot as I would have thought, because I just saw 146. We're going all the way through, and I saw 146 right here. I'm going to look 2 or 3 times. I do need to know this is a test recipe. So 149 on that one, and you can see a little bit of red. That does not bother me at all. And now what we're going to do is get this dried out. We're going to do a little searing on it. Now that's questionable how I'm going to go about it, but you could slice it and then sear it. But what we're going to do on this one is try and sear it. I'm not sure it's going to do good, but you'll see in a minute. I'll be back. Okay, so I did turn on my ventilation system, and I cracked my door a little bit to see, because I'm expecting a little smoke. 403, 399, 450, depending on where you put it. But just to show you, it can be done right here, and it can. This works great as a device to sear in. I'm going to turn that off. I want to show you why. There's why. I'm fixing to make a mess in there, and it's burning, so we're going to fix that. Okay, so bear with me. I'm going to show you, until I figure out a better way to do it in there, I'm going to show you my favorite method. Now, I'm going to hold it. It's still hot. But you can see what I did in there, and it worked okay. I'm not knocking it, but for that size meat, it is a little tricky. But my favorite method is this. And everybody kind of needs to kind of get over that. You know, they're kind of leery of them, but take my word, this works. And all you do, and I'll probably get in a hurry and mess it up because I'm on video and I'm always under the gun, or I feel like I am when I'm videoing. But you can brown, and I don't know you can hear what I'm saying, but you can brown anything, salmon, any fish, anything you're cooking, you can do the Maillard or browning with a Home Depot torch, and it looks just as good. Sometimes it looks way better. A lot of times I'll sear in something like that and then touch it up with this. But, and I know that's noisy and you probably can't hear me, but this is the ultimate, and the way a lot of restaurants, not all, a lot of restaurants do this right here. And I hope you can see how well it works, because it really does. Now, I'm not suggesting everybody do this, but if you're a guy, you got a torch, this is the way. Now, this should be a good example right here, and I hope you can see it. I just burnt my board a little bit, though. I did forget I was on wood, so you have to remember that. I'll have to sand that off, but no big deal. But you can see, I'm going to stop right there because I don't really need anything other than that. And that, you can see, that worked. It's hot. There's no doubt. It's very hot. So that's a method if you want to use it. Now, I'm going to slice that. Be back. Okay, so let's see what we would be making sandwiches out of, which I promise you everybody's going to love. In fact, let me cut it where you can see it, like this right here, across my hand, because that's the only way I know how. There you go. That is definitely I'll call it well done. That some people might say a little shy of that, but not much. And let's see if we can cut it with a fork. Let me get a fork, and let's just see. And I mean, it's close enough with a fork. I mean, I did have to pull on it a little bit, but there is nothing wrong with that. And I don't think anyone would have a problem with that. All right, I'm going to drop this camera down because I didn't take a bite. I want you to see it a little closer. Bear with me. There it is with salt. And well done, as most would say, or I think it is. And absolutely spectacular. Melt in your mouth, cut with a fork, all the above. Excellent. Anyhow, now you know. Okay, I'm going to video this whether I use it or not, but here we are opening the Filet Mignon, just so you get an idea of what a whole one looks like. And this is not the trimmed, they call it. Well, this is called a whole beef tenderloin, $11.99 a pound. You know, get off of that, but they're all over the board with prices. Normally they're at least 15 to 16. This was on sale. So this is what a whole one looks like. And if you don't mind trimming one and honestly wasting a little, or maybe you can use it for some other thing in a recipe, you can see what you're going to have to lose, this kind of stuff, if you want just a filet mignon. And I'm going to trim it to my standards, which are not the standards of a lot of people, but that's what that looks like. That's a whole tenderloin. This is called a chain. I'm going to get it off kind of like this, but I'm gonna take my time, not in a hurry. And this video is not about that. I'm just showing you in case you buy a whole loin. This is the kind of stuff you do. But I'm gonna get it cleaned up, and I will be back when we start this cook. I'll be honest with you, I kind of wish I had left the camera running because it's this easy. And yeah, there's a lot of waste on a whole, but they're way cheaper. And pretty much, I haven't touched it with a knife yet. Everything I've done is that I'm going to, though I'm not going to destroy it. My point is, there is pretty much trimmed up. You know, you can go as far as you want to with that. But what I'm getting at, this right here, you can use it for a lot of things. Now the fat, obviously you can't, but I mean, there's things you can do with it. Stews, soups, that is some excellent meat is my point. So I'll go back to doing it off camera.